Greetings, folks, and welcome to today's show. Our guest today is known to lots of folks in Tullahoma, but perhaps not so many on a wider scale, but she has just completed 20 years on the Tullahoma City Board of Education. And so at her recent reception, she got a lot of good kudos, including the chairman of the board said that he couldn't find evidence that anybody in recent history had served longer than Vickie has. So that's a nice kudo. And then Dan Lawson also gave her a big compliment, saying she really set the standard for school board members. Having, I don't know, look, she's tireless, very careful in what she says and does, and thoughtful, and collaborative, and that's been very important, I think, still too. But she'll probably want to address that a little. But except for one brief period where we had things stirred up down there, the board has worked together very well, and I suspect that's pretty critical. Well, anyway, welcome, Vickie, and I'll add my thanks to everybody else's for your 20 years of service. And now that you've hung it up just recently, are you having any afterthoughts? What comes to your mind when you're looking over these 20 years?
Well, sometimes you do have some afterthoughts when you make these decisions. I have all good thoughts about my years on the board, and actually I don't have any afterthoughts. It was hard Monday night thinking, well, I'm walking out of this boardroom for the last time as a board member, but I'll still be very involved in Tullahoma City Schools. I started years ago as a volunteer in the schools because my children were young, and I enjoyed helping teachers out and helping even administration out on some different things. But I decided to run for school board, and 20 years later, it's time for me to get back in those schools. I've always been in the schools as a board member, but get back in as a volunteer.
It was kind of interesting. I hadn't really realized that going that far back. I think you were among the first members to be elected.
I was actually the first member elected, yes.
Yeah.
Tom, when I decided I wanted to be on the school board, you had to fill out an application and apply with the city board. And so I was going through.
In those days, the school board member were appointed
by the city board. So I jumped through all the hoops to do that, and all of a sudden they were calling me going, whoa, we're going to have to put the skids on this because legislature is getting ready to vote on a bill to have board members elected. And I said, oh, okay, but I thought, well, surely it won't go through this year. Well, darn if it didn't. I mean, just in a few weeks. So all of a sudden, instead of going before the city board, I was, designing signs.
Before the people.
Yeah, I was going before the people and having to do Democratic and Republican forums with different groups in town. But it turned out to be a lot of fun, and it turned out to be great.
Well, that's quite a record. Okay, well, with that, folks, let's take a short commercial break, and we'll come back and go some more.
All I have to do to think about what I was physically before and what I am now, and I don't ever want to go back to that original situation.
The overall mission of the rehab team is always what is best for the patient and how we can facilitate maximum potential from every resident.
Well, the most important thing to me is that I'm allowed to do whatever I want to do,
Everyday miracles at Life Care Center of Tullahoma.
Tired of paying for monthly telephone service, expensive long-distance bills, and all those crazy taxes? Are you sick of spending money on telephone equipment, maintenance contracts, and service calls, all for a phone system that shackles you to 100-year-old technology and your desk? Stop it. It's time to ship your phone system to the cloud. What can the cloud do for you? Bring together remote offices, workers, and employees in the field. Make sure that you'll never miss calls by delivering them to multiple devices. Modernize faxing by allowing multiple faxes to be sent and received at once and delivered to email. Get your voicemail messages instantly through email too. And take advantage of an endless supply of customizable features. Host My Calls can deliver the cloud. All of this technology with low upfront costs and not one penny in capital expense. It's time for a phone solution you'll truly love from Host My Calls. Call the number below.
Our guest today, folks, is Vickie Shelton, who is just hanging it up after 20 years on the Tullahoma City Board of Education. And I thought, you know, with that long a service, she's bound to have some wisdom to pass on to us. So, but let's begin, Vickie, by talking about some of the things that have happened in your 20 years, both academic and quite a bit of brick and mortar, noticed that too.
Yes, quite a bit of brick and mortar. Yeah, you look around town and my goodness, when I started, we still had students at West Middle School, Old West, behind the administration building.
Right.
Now that's our community services building, which is up and running with lots of programs going on there. We're still happy to have that old building, but our students have moved into a beautiful new building on the west side of town. So that was built during my tenure, as well as improvements really in all the schools somewhat, but of course the largest school besides West to be built was East Lincoln, and those folks needed a new school more than anybody we knew at the time. It just took us a while to convince our funding body and everyone else that it was time for a new school there. But for those of you all who haven't been in either of those schools, you must go. They're, excuse me, state of the art, and we're very proud of them.
Yeah, and it set some new standards, both in terms of the building and the programs.
Yes, I mean everything from geothermal heating and cooling at East Lincoln, which saves us so much money a year. Just they are just state of the art, whether it be for technology, lighting. Just they have it all.
Good. And a pretty good sized chunk of stuff at Tullahoma High, especially the new auditorium. That was
the new auditorium.
The
yes,
first one fell in.
The first one, unfortunately, we had to close it down for, almost 3 years. So that was very hard. We had to utilize the gym for lots of things, and of course we didn't get to utilize that stage like we wanted to with all of our drama program and drama productions. So we're back up and running there. And then, of course, the new stadium tomorrow night will be time for Tullahoma High School football again. So we're glad to be back in the stadium, and everybody's enjoyed that. We've enjoyed it for some community events as well. So it's a beautiful stadium, and we're awfully proud of that too.
Okay. How about academically? What are the things, anything at the top of your come to mind?
Well, of course, with the Chromebooks that we've been able to put in students' hands, I think that's a huge accomplishment. We, of course, still have a lot of wonderful programs at our high school and at all of our schools, but the Chromebooks have just been a big addition to our students, making learning easier, making learning right there in their hands, and making it immediate. Because
well, you've really switched your source of text to online.
Absolutely.
Right?
We got tired of seeing our students carrying around those big backpacks full of books, and we can just have a lot of online learning, and with the Chromebooks that's made possible. We've had teachers that have spent an enormous amount of time creating textbooks for our students that, like I said, they can just get something that happened yesterday can be in their textbook today, and they don't have to wait on.
That's a lot faster learning, isn't it?
Absolutely.
For a lot of them.
It absolutely is.
How is that going? I know there was a lot of controversy early on about letting the students take their Chromebook home, that was going to cost you a bunch of money.
Well, you would think it would have. There'd be a lot of lost ones, or a lot of,
strayed,
poor little injured Chromebooks. But you know what? The students are very proud of those, and they know there's consequences if something does happen to these books when they take them home. So for the most part, they are kids, so things do happen, and we have to make some repairs, and we certainly have to replace along the way, but we have to just because of the age of them. But actually, they've done very well, taking them home and taking very good care of them.
Is everything, have you got all the Chromebooks that you started out to
we do now, and like I said, we do have a replacement program that, we get a few in for a few years, and then those have to be replaced. So that was put in place before we even began the program, but they're in everyone's hands now.
So you're all set.
We're all set.
Okay. Well, as you say, you did work on every school in town, I guess. So with two new ones. That's a pretty big deal itself. Well, that's your open source. Is that really working out? And how much of it is where your open source means your kids are going online? Where does the online get its information?
Well, it's just out there. An open source.
How is that controlled?
Well, it's just controlled by the different sources we look through each source before we decide to use it. I mean, they're very well vetted, so to speak, before they're put into use. So there's so many great ones out there, and we found so many that are free. I mean, that's been the biggest deal, and our teachers have gone to those sources, looked them over carefully, and decided which ones were the best ones for our students to use.
So that of course has to vary a little bit in every grade.
It certainly does.
A lot of teachers doing a lot of evaluation.
Oh, they're doing a lot of evaluating, and it's taken an awful lot of time.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Well, let's talk a little bit about Vickie outside of the school board. You must have had something else going on besides school board.
Well, I'm still working for Blood Assurance, so I certainly enjoy that. But I have a lot of hobbies and a lot of things going on, whether it be church-related or, well, as a matter of fact, yesterday I signed up for Walk Across Tennessee. So
you did?
I did.
That's a 5-mile hike for each group.
It's a lot. We have to keep up with our miles starting, I think, August the 20-something to mid-October. So my team consists of, I think it's the mayor and Dan Lawson, Jimmy Blanks, and Mike Stanton. So we've got to lace up the shoes and get out there. But we encourage our students to do the same. And we have a lot of good Get Fit programs that our students are in. So we're trying to lead the pack for them as well.
Well, yeah, it looks like your team is made up pretty much of Tullahoma leaders.
Well, it just worked out that way, but like I said, we hope to win. I mean, we're not in this just to participate. We're in it to win, so here we go.
How do you win?
You have to keep up with your miles each week, and then every Monday you turn them in to whoever's organizing this. I'm not even really sure, but Dan's our fearless leader on this one, too. I think we're going to be called the Final Five in honor of the gymnast in the Olympics this week. But we'll see if we're the Final Five. I hope we're the first 5 if we plan to win. But anyway, I do exercise a lot, love yoga and Pure Barre class and that type of thing. So I'll have a little more time for that. But
love exercise.
I do.
Plus, it sounds like you're pretty diet conscious too.
Got to do it all when you get older, right, Tom?
Yes, very true. Okay, out of the, let's pick on another of the new schools, West Middle, for example, and there was a lot of state-of-the-art technology built into that school.
Yes, very much.
How has that worked out?
Well, it's worked out great, and they have a STEM program over there, which is science, technology, engineering, in math, and it's going very well. I mean, teachers are, spend a lot of time preparing for that, getting students interested in it, and with the technology that's in that school, it's become a big deal with a lot of students and a lot of interest.
Yeah, I understand, and they have some special equipment. They sort of have a lab, don't they?
They do. And, yes.
Including an after-school program.
They've got both. That's another thing. If those that haven't been in West need to go see that program while they're in that school, because Vickie Shelton loves to show it off any chance he gets. He's the principal, of course, there, and those teachers are doing a great job with it, and a lot of student interest. Of course, living in this community with so many engineers, that are able to even help participate in this program with these students makes it even more enjoyable and even more important for them.
That's a very important program on the national level, trying to get more people interested in math and engineering.
Absolutely,
and the technology. So
it's amazing the number of girls that are involved in this program.
Good, yeah.
Enjoying it so much.
Well, the girls are taking over the world. We got more
trying.
Females than males in law school and men's school.
Absolutely.
And,
happy about that. That's very different than when I started 20 years ago even.
Okay. Well, folks, we need to take a short commercial break, and we'll come back and talk some more.
Trucks, and more trucks. Keith Barnett here with the Russell Barnett Automotive family, and we have your next truck. From the Ford F-Series, the Ram, Chevrolet, or the GMC, then look no further than the Russell Barnett family. With over 350 new and pre-owned trucks to choose from, now is the time to buy. Stop by one of our 5 locations. That's Russell Barnett Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, Chevrolet GMC, Ford of Winchester, and Russell Barnett Ford and Kia of Tullahoma, or visit us on the web at russellbarnett.com. Why buy anywhere else?
It's time for every family and business in Tullahoma to go green and recycle. Tullahoma Public Works makes it simple and easy to recycle. Just place your recyclable materials, paper, plastic, aluminum, and cardboard beside your garbage container on the same day your garbage is picked up. Your recycled materials don't have to be in a fancy container. Recycling is not only the right thing to do, it makes sense. Recycling pays. Paying to bury our garbage costs each of us. Please do your part. Let's go green, Tullahoma, and recycle.
It's your trademark. That's something special everyone knows and remembers. It's your thing. It's made holidays special for decades and summers unforgettable for the entire neighborhood. It's made everyone laugh every single time. Don't let illness or injury keep you from doing your thing. The rehab team at Life Care Center of Tullahoma is ready to help you live well.
I'm meteorologist Leland Statham from the News Channel 5 Weather Center. Look to Jim Fuller and crew for local news night here on Channel 6.
Today we're talking, folks, with Vickie Shelton, who has just hung up her hat after 20 years on the Tullahoma School Board. And also, interestingly, having been the very first school board member who was elected. Prior to your time, they were appointed by the city board.
Correct.
And so she's the first elected member and kept getting elected for 20 years. So I guess you must have done something right. Let's talk a little bit about the future, Vickie. What have, even at the Tullahoma level, are there any challenges out there that you think everybody should be aware of and prepared to help fix?
Wow, challenges. You know, Tom, just looking maybe at the biggest challenge we have right now is probably testing. We'll just say through the state. It's just been a big challenge for our system and all the systems across Tennessee this past year, and it looks like it's going to be a challenge into the next year. Since I guess it was mid-'80s, our children have been taking the TCAP test, and now there's a portion of that called Tennessee Ready that is a mandated, standardized portion of this test, and it's more of a rigorous part of the test where more critical thinking, more creative writing, more just different components that the state has plugged into this test. Well, that's all fine and good if you receive these tests on time, which was a problem last year, if they're not just an inordinate amount of time that students have to spend testing, which is, it turned out just to be crazy for, say, third graders having to take a 7-hour test. Yeah, it's just
more than one, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of, I didn't realize it until I was talking with, I believe it was Dr. Duncan from the high school last week, that last year, Tullahoma High School had 43 interrupted days because of different type of mandated testing. Now that's a lot of disruption in a day, and all this has come from this Tennessee Ready, and next year
which is not ready yet.
Not ready. Many schools never received their tests last year, or so late in the year they couldn't administer them. So many parents were upset. They just said, look, there's no way you're going to get scores back for these tests this year, taking them so late. So we're opting our children out. I don't want my third grader taking a test that takes 7 hours. So
well, not only that, the other problem with testing early on, at least, you have, we've sort of passed over that. You had new standards set in, what, 3 or 4 years ago now.
Right.
called Common Core, which turned out to be a bad word nationally, and
yes, it did.
So, but we've and there was a problem in connection with the testing, and that your testing wasn't geared to the standards you were teaching to.
Absolutely,
so
absolutely. It's just been, I mean, just for lack of better words, it's really been a mess. And it's been very hard on our teachers. Our teachers work so hard to make sure all these standards are met, that students are getting, I mean, every component of this instruction that they're supposed to get. Teachers are evaluated on this. Well, it's not even fair to the teachers when they're having to give all these prolonged tests. No scores are coming back. They don't know how, and the students' final, part of their final testing score or letter grade for the end of the year depends on these tests. Well, if you're not even getting the testing back, the evaluation back, I mean, how does all that work? It's just been a kind of a catch-22, and besides that, the state has spent millions of taxpayer money on these tests, and apparently they're going with a different testing group next year, so we'll see.
Well, I must admit, I've been surprised and disappointed at the state level that this has been a mess for so long, that there wasn't a better way to fix it. And one more question on testing. I know Dr. Lawson has been plugging for 2 or 3 years to have the ACT be the primary source. And
we're still plugging for that one. Oh my gosh, yes, we are making the rounds to the legislature and everything to try to.
You're going to get it, do you think?
I hope so, but Tom, you know how that works slowly. So I would hate to even make a decision on that one. I don't know if that'll ever come about or not, but it certainly should.
Well, at the state level, where we still have that terrific problem with testing and standards, for that matter, still controversial. Anything else at the state level that comes to mind that needs fixing? Looking at the whole state, I mean, we're still down in the bottom rung statewise of the schools across the country.
Tennessee as a whole, is that what? Yes. Well, I guess we are. Of course, our system though is one of the top in the state, and we want to keep it that way. We continuously raise our ACT scores every year, so that's something that we strive for. And I know Kathy Rose puts a lot of emphasis on that at the high school. Whether that will be the final test score down the road, who knows? But
at the high school level, that's another test they had to keep taking, wasn't it?
Absolutely, among the others.
Yeah, among the
So, I mean, really, again, 43 days of disruptions in the classroom is a little much, even for a high school.
No, I say it's been looking at a situation from a taxpayer standpoint, not directly involved. It's been really amazing and appalling, if you will.
Absolutely, Tom.
So, well, okay. How about at the federal level? We're always happy to take their money, but not necessarily their rules. Or as you pointed out, a lot of times we get their rules and no money.
Unfortunately, the federal government sends us a lot of mandates, but they don't follow it with a lot of money. They may give us partial money maybe the first year, but then you're on your own after that. So I don't see that's going to change. I could be wrong.
How are things going at the state level? Are we making any progress, you think? Or I know, or at the federal level, Senator Alexander, who's on the Education Committee in the Senate, I believe.
Yes, he is.
He's been mucking around quite a bit in the school situation. So I don't know whether for better or for worse.
Well, and he is an advocate, of course, but I'm not sure either. I hate to even comment on what he may or may not do at that level, but he's certainly been involved in education since he was our governor years ago.
Yeah, okay. All right. Well, we are going to have to take a break, folks, and wrap this thing up. As somehow, as always happens, we run out of time. So we'll be back in a minute.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
We're back, folks, and we've been talking today with Vickie Shelton, who has just recently had her last school board meeting after 20 years on the Tullahoma City School Board. And she has seen a lot of things going on, both academically and in the brick and mortar category. Vickie, you got anything you'd like to say to the folks out there?
Oh, Tom, that's sweet.
Look the camera in.
Look at the camera and tell them how much fun I've had being a school board member. I actually have. It's been a great collaborative effort for the most part on each board, pardon me, that I've served with. It's been a great 20 years. I feel like we've made a lot of progress in this school system. I love the school system. We're so lucky and so proud to have someone like Dan Lawson at the helm that's guided us and helped us through a lot of changes the last 20 years, and certainly there have been a lot of changes, some for the good, some a little hard and challenging to work through. But I just really appreciate all the support that this community gives our board. I appreciate the fact that I was elected 4 different times. We run 4 years on our terms, so it's been a great ride, a lot of fun. I think I will miss it, but I'm excited to turn it over to Gigi Robinson. She'll be a great asset on that board. Okay. She has a lot of interest in this system, so it should go well. Yeah,
I didn't mention that Vickie is the very first member of the Tullahoma Board of Education that was elected. Prior to her time, they were appointed by the city. So, okay, and you're going to hang it up in any particular direction? What are you going to do now? Oh, well, like I said before, I still have a real job, so yeah. I still enjoy that. And, Tom, I'll find something to do. There's always lots of great activities going on in Tullahoma, and I'll be a part of it. And good. Well, thanks again for your service and for joining us today. I appreciate you inviting me on your show. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for joining us, inviting us into your parlor, folks, and we'll see you next time.